What's up, Digital Business Evolution? Welcome back to the show. Today we are chatting all about how to use email marketing to increase revenue as a digital entrepreneur. So to get specific, we're going to talk about 5 really simple things that you can start doing today to help you increase your open rates, to help you increase your click-through rates, and to help you increase your conversions, because at the end of the day, that is what we're hoping for. So we're going to dive right in. It's super fast and simple. Number 1. Emails are best read when left justified. So I know it's really fun and cute, and it definitely was trending for a while to center justify all of your text and your font. But statistically and historically, we actually read better when something is left justified because that's how we're taught to read. So if you read a blog or a book or anything, it's going to be left justified, meaning that the paragraphs are pushed over to the left. Now, I get it. It definitely is prettier when it's center justified and everything is aligned perfectly. But in order to get the most out of your emails, you are going to want to do certain things like this that are just going to make it easier for the reader. And that's what it is. It's easier for the reader when things are left justified. However, when you have an email with a bunch of left justified things, you can occasionally, boom, put something in the center justify it, and make it even bigger. And that's a great place to put a pattern interrupt, right? So psychology, we want to pattern interrupt people when they're scrolling mindlessly and they're half asleep at the wheel, and boom, something changes. So you could put a really big, nice, juicy call to action button in the middle, or like a link to click, or a picture or something like that. That could look nice center justified, but generally speaking, you want everything left justified. It's just easier on our eyes to read. Number 2, you want to use different features like bold, underlined, italics, and even colors to make certain words pop. So again, when you're writing an email, certainly a longer form email, it could be really boring. And when everything is, Helvetica size 12, it's very easy for our eyes to wander and for our attention to get lost. I mean, we're literally in a war of attention right now. It's the attention game. So the faster you can grab someone's attention and the longer you can hold someone's attention, the more likely you are to succeed in whatever it is that you're doing. So in your email marketing and your emails, help your reader by making important words bold or underlined, or emotions could be italicized so they can understand sort of the feeling that you want to evoke as they're reading it. Colors are really important too, and we could go down a rabbit hole here because there's an entire color theory wheel where certain colors make people do certain things. Like green helps people go, it helps people take action. We're trained into that at a very young age. Red is very alarming, and it's like, hey, listen to this is important, right? Orange makes people move fast. Blue is very calming. And then depending on the color, green actually, also very calming if you think of a spa, right? So think of fast food joints. They use red and they use orange and they use yellow because it's fast and it makes you move and it makes you think quickly and it makes your metabolism go faster. It makes you take action. Spas and healing centers are going to use calming blues, very grounding greens. There's a reason for that. So using different colors, not just your brand colors, but using different colors inside of your emails is going to help. Also, just historically, for however many years the internet has been around, clickable links generally are blue. So if you want someone to click, simply by making that blue, it's going to trigger a memory and an emotion in them. It's going to trigger a habit of clicking. So even if you're writing it out yourself, you may want to make that bright blue, you know the blue I'm talking about, that bright cerulean blue color, and you might want to make it bold so it sticks out. So using bold, italics, underlined, and colors is going to help really pinpoint key points. Side note, do this on sales pages as well. So when you have a section of your sales page where you're saying, this is for the person who, bullet, 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 or imagine if, bullet, 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 bullet. There's a lot of text there. We get lost when there's a lot of text. Help your client read it simply by making the most important words bold. Pro tip, when you're sharing testimonials, do the same thing. So when you're sharing a testimonial or a screenshot, whether it's on social media or a sales page, you actually want to go in, and you can do this on Canva, you can do this on Instagram stories, literally highlight, like use the brightener, highlight the things in the testimonial that are most important. So the amount of weight your client lost, how happy they were, the nice thing they said, the amount of money that they made, how many weeks it took them to flip their house. Like highlight that stuff. While everything in the testimonial seems important, it's not. So you can highlight, underline, make bold, but make it stand out. Number 3, start putting in pictures and GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you say it. This just, again, pattern interrupt. It keeps it interesting. It also creates relatability and likability. So some of my favorite GIFs or GIFs to put into my emails are different Friends GIFs, because Friends happens to be one of my favorite TV shows. Now, if you don't like Friends, do you not like me? Probably not. If you didn't love Friends, are you probably not going to buy from me? Probably not. But here's the thing. If you too loved Friends, then you're going to smile when you see that GIF. You're going to laugh when you pivot, the couch, come on, right? So when you see that couch GIF, we immediately connect on a different level where you're like, she gets me. Yep, she's in my head. That's exactly what I thought. Because honestly, have you ever heard the word pivot and not thought about the couch scene? I mean, really, right? It also just kind of puts it out there for like your age. Not that you need to tell people how old you are, but there are going to be people who certain songs that you share, pictures that you share, movies that you reference, it's going to go way over their head because it's just not from their generation. I'm an 80s kid, early 80s. So when I think about the 90s, which are trending right now, right? The fashion is trending right now. That has like visceral feelings in my body, good and bad, because hello, middle school, right? So tough. But I feel a certain thing. I could smell Abercrombie perfume, like Bath and Body Works, the you know the one, what was it? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you know that cream that I'm talking about from Bath and Body Works. Like I can smell it, the lip smackers on a chain. Even as I say these things, if you were a part of that world with me at that same time, we just connected on a deeper level, subconsciously. So putting GIFs and emojis and stickers and pictures into your emails is going to make it much more interesting. Now, as I said earlier, you could totally center justify something like that, and it might keep it more interesting. It acts as another pattern interrupt. And something that our team that we're seeing is working really, really well that we started in 2022 was actually making sure that the pictures we're inserting are clickable pictures. So not necessarily would the emoji of Monica with the turkey on her head doing the dance by the door, for Thanksgiving, maybe that wouldn't be clickable. But when we're sharing a podcast episode in an email, rather than just saying, click the link to listen to podcast episode 100 on XYZ, we actually pop an image in where maybe it's me with a mic, maybe it's me and Mike, and it says the title of the show, and then it has an emoji, like a sticker of a finger clicking or the arrow clicking, and it says, click here to listen. So there's an image that's really capturing your attention, and then when you click the image, rather than just a boring link or text, it takes you exactly where I want you to go. So it takes you to the YouTube page, it takes you to the podcast app, it takes you to Spotify, wherever that might be. But instead of just putting a link in there, we're putting a clickable picture. We've done this for launching our mastermind. We've done this for master classes and webinars. We've done this for our podcast. So things like that, you can use it as marketing and just sort of pattern interrupt inside of your email. The fourth thing that I want to make sure that you're doing, and we're moving quickly here, is that you're keeping it really easy to read. Now, we talked about left justified, but what we also want to do is we want to make sure that we're putting spaces in between our lines. So growing up, we all wrote paragraphs. We learned, 5 to 7 sentences in a paragraph, and that's sort of how we were trained to write. If you're like me, you probably were trained to write 5-paragraph essays, right? You start with an intro, you've got your meat and potato, and then you end with a conclusion. And so a lot of us are trained to write in that way. And while that is correct, when writing an email, you want to break it apart as much as possible. You almost want to write one sentence per line and then use a space in between. Again, just making it really easy to read, especially in something like an email, which is going to be a smaller font. It tends to be a lot of font. So putting spaces in between, making words bigger, as we talked about before, or underlined and stuff like that, you can do. But also using bullets and numbers and lists in your email so that it's not all just written copy. You're changing it up for the person that's reading it, just making it really, the readability increased. The easier it is to read, the more likely someone's going to read it. And then the last, which is probably the most important thing in terms of getting people to open your email, this is the most important thing, it's the subject line. The subject line matters so much. If someone reads the subject and they're not interested, they're not going to open the email. If they read the subject and you told them the solution in the subject, they're probably not going to read the email. If you told them like the punchline, it's like telling somebody a joke, but you tell them the punchline first, right? If you tell the person the punchline first and then you tell them the joke, well, number one, it's probably not funny anymore. And number two, they're not like on the edge of their seat. They know what's coming. You already told them the answer. So in your subject line, you want to dance between clickbait, which could feel manipulative, and curiosity, right? That's what clickbait does. Clickbait creates intrigue. It creates curiosity. It creates a feeling of, I have to open this email. I need to know what's next. So some really good examples of strong subject lines are questions. Can you ask a question in your subject line? So, have you ever XYZ? Something like that could be really simple. Or this is a great one, are you doing this one thing in your business? Well, I need to know what this one thing is because I want to know if I'm doing it. I didn't even need to say, if you are, it's doing this good thing or this bad thing for your business. I just want to know as the consumer, like, am I doing the thing? I'll find out in the email if it's good or bad, right? So starting with a question is really great. Using a subject line that has numbers is phenomenal. So 72% of consumers prefer email marketing. Here's why. Well, I'm interested. 72% of customers prefer, I don't know, it's hard for me. 72% of customers prefer email marketing. Here's why. Or 72% of consumers buy via email, not social media, right? So you can do something that has numbers or statistics. You can do something that's super polarizing. You can do something that leaves people on the edge of their seat a little bit, so a hook. So 3 things to stop doing in 2023. And then even in parentheses or a sub-subject, which goes underneath, you can say, so that, fill in the blank, so that you can lose weight faster, so that you're never struggling with this again, so that you don't have to spend money on paid ads, so that you can invest in more stocks, whatever that might be. So that's a really great thing. So the subject line matters a lot. Now, something cool that you can do when you're using a CRM, which is a customer relationship management platform like Constant Contact, Kajabi, MailChimp, ConvertKit, any email marketing platform is also going to give you the ability to split test. So split testing means you can clone your email. So you have the exact same email. What's written in the body is the same. And then you test out 2 different subject lines. So to half of your email list, you send one subject line. To the other half of your email list, you send the other subject line. And then you compare the data of which one had a better open rate. That's what we want. We want a really good open rate. And for the record, this is crazy, but industry standard for email marketing, a good open rate is like 25% or higher. So if you've been getting 30% on your email opens and you thought that that was bad, that's above industry standard. Industry standard is about 25%. So if you're getting above 20, even 22% of an open rate, that's great. So now when you're split testing, you can take a look at the 2 different subject lines, see which one did better. And then here's a pro tip. As you're testing, whether you're split testing or not, just as you're collecting data over the months, the weeks, the years that you're creating emails, create a Google Doc or some sort of a spreadsheet somewhere of really high performing subject lines that you've used before. So if you notice that a subject line had 50% open rate or 70% open rate, copy that subject line down, write it down in or transfer it over to your Google spreadsheet. I love a spreadsheet because then you can have a column for the date that you sent that email, like what was the context of that email or like the meat and potatoes, right? What were you doing? Was there a call to action at the end of the email? Just so you can keep in mind, when was this working? What was that for? And then of course, what was the percent open rate? Then what you want to do is you want to replicate them. You want to study why you think it worked as a little investigator, as a little detective, right? A scientist in your business. So study, why do you think it worked? Well, this is really interesting. I have a list of 10 email headlines, subject lines that all converted over 50%. And that's really cool because when I look at it, I'm noticing that 7 of the 10 were all written as a question. That's telling you something. Or really interesting, 5 of the 10 all used this one word inside the subject line, like money, revenue, content, weight loss, whatever it was. But like, wow, 5 of them, I said this one word. Now that's showing you that maybe you should be doing that more often. Every time you do X, you get this result, right? So start to track your own data and start to create a list of what is working for you. Also, a second pro tip, start to notice what emails you open. So just like when you're creating content, why do you stop the scroll? Like, what's the hook that someone wrote on the content that got you to stop the scroll? Do the same thing with email marketing. Why did you open that person's email? Take note of it. And if it was the subject line that hooked you in, which it probably was, write that down. I'm not saying copy those people verbatim, but take note of it. Did it get you to feel a certain way? Was it written a certain way? Did it have numbers? Was it polarizing? Did it promise something? Was it a question? Did it leave you feeling like you needed to learn more? Study the reasons why you're opening other people's emails and start to insert those same tactics into the emails that you're writing. Cool? Okay, 5 things, quick review. I'm looking at my sheet so I don't miss anything. Number 1, we want to make it left justified, so it's very easy to read. Number 2, we want to make bold, underlined, italic, and colorful words to make them pop. Check out color theory. You can Google it. There's tons of people teaching it. Number 3, you want to make sure that you're using GIFs and GIFs and pictures and things like that. And pro tip, make them clickable, especially if you're driving a call to action. You want someone to go somewhere else. Make it a clickable thumbnail for them. Number 4, the readability needs to be easy. Like we said with left justified, we also want to make sure we're appropriately spacing our lines out. We're using things like lists and bullets and really giving space in between the things that we're saying. Number 5, use a almost clickbaity subject line. So really lean into studying what subject lines are doing well in your business, what subject lines seem to be working in other people's businesses, and start to replicate that over and over. Side note, it is totally cool if you use the same subject line in your business more than once. You can absolutely do that, especially if you're looking at something like promotional launch emails that you use twice a year. You can totally replicate them and say it again. No one's keeping track. You're absolutely allowed to repurpose your own content, okay? I will tell you that my highest email open ever was like 98%, 99% open rate. This was from years ago. It was like 2017, I think. And it was for one of my old programs where I was teaching food freedom. And the headline said, "We broke up." And at the time, Mike and I were already married. And so because people are a little bit nosy and a little bit curious, it had almost 100% open rate. But the reality was, and it was a little clickbaity, I didn't break up with Mike, which is what people's assumption was. I broke up with that relationship to food that I had and whatever that was. I broke up with dieting. I don't even remember what the email was, but it had to do with food because I was relating it to my clients and what they needed at the time. But the subject line, "We broke up," it got so many people to answer. And if I'm being honest, that's because I saw it done somewhere else and it made me open it. And so I said, well, if I'm a nosy little Nelly, then I know there are other nosy little Nellies out there. Maybe you're one of them, right? Maybe you even read that email. I don't know. There you have it. Those are the 5 different things that I want you to focus on. I could talk about this all day. There's a million things that I could say to focus on with your emails. There are things that I could say, make sure you're not doing with your emails. So here's the deal. If you didn't know, we have an incredible free training. I'm so excited about this free training. I cannot believe it's free, but it is. And this training is all about how you can build and grow your email list. So whether you're starting or you already have one, this is how you can build and grow your email list with hot leads and dream buyers. And we're doing this fast and for free. So this free training is how you can do this in your business today. You can literally start implementing today. Some of the cool things that we have in there are subject lines for you that have been tested and tried and true to our business, things that have worked really well for us. So we're giving you subject lines, we're giving you templates, we're breaking down actual landing pages for you, opt-in pages and how to create that. We're talking about the deliverables that you would create to give someone else in exchange for their email. We're breaking down what to write in your emails, what types of lead magnets you could be creating. It is so juicy. It's actually insane. It's actually insane. So we've got that training for you on how you can build and grow your email list with hot leads and dream buyers, totally fast and totally for free. If you're looking to do that and you want to plug in to our exact email marketing strategy that we've been using to double our email list time and time again, then I would suggest you click the link below on the side, wherever it is, find the link, click it, and get yourself enrolled. It's totally free. It's a whole portal of trainings and all the templates. Like I said, there's tutorials in there. It is such a no-brainer because it's free. And what it's going to do for your business, it's actually going to help you reach more clients, build deeper relationships with your leads, warming them up faster and hotter. And then of course, it's going to help you make more revenue in your business. So why wouldn't you want that? And the best part is that you don't have to spend more time on social media, because who wants to do that? Nobody, right? Okay, I hope you loved this episode. I tried to keep it short and sweet for you. The key here is really with your emails, make them easy to read, make them fun to read. And I didn't say this in here, be consistent. Be consistent. That goes into a whole episode of mistakes. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but be consistent. Even if you're just sending little love notes, little one-liners to your list, be consistently sending things so that your list can truly know, like, and trust you. Know that you're going to be there for them. Know that they can count on you. And honestly, it's something that they look forward to. When your emails are so good, so juicy, so left justified, so easy to read with spaces and bolds and pictures, they're going to want to open it. So if you loved this episode, do me a favor, share it out on social media. Let me know which tip you're trying first, which thing you're implementing first. Tag me at I am Jessica DeRose. And if you loved any free content that you have seen from me and Digital Business Evolution, please, 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 it would mean the world to us if you rated and reviewed this podcast. Because the more that you rate and review this, the more eyeballs it gets and ears it gets to. And by the more eyeballs and ears we get to, the more people we get to help, which means they get to help more people. And that in itself is the ripple effect. So friends, as always, cheers to our evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.